Good evening, the people of Chuempara. Good evening, the people of Kasompe. Good evening, the people of Ndola. Good evening, the people of Lusaka. Good evening, the people of Rwansha. Good evening, the people of Mwense. Good evening, the people of Kasama. Good evening, the people of Mongo. And good evening, Bomkera Bai. How are you, and how's the weather that side? Here in Zambia, it's something else. It's very, very, very hot actually. We are surprised. Maybe we are seeing the Ministry of Health trying to do about being surrounded by the ministry, by the law enforcers. So you're asking, maybe even the people are responsible for weather, should they also be probed? Maybe very makapia kamfula.
Jerome Kimanzivwani. We are very fine Luna Kwanu in the Nordic. It's very cold here. We today the temperature is a little bit low. It's just minus 5. So it's quite warm for us. We are getting used. We have the we are in winter, and we are basically getting ready for Christmas. We're in a Christmas mood. We are expecting to have the white Christmas. So that's it from this end. Otherwise, just wanted to say good evening, everyone. Good evening, viewers, my fellow Zambians living in the diaspora. Good evening, wherever you are. And good evening, Kimanzibwani, Chavasa Jesus, Chavasa Bulozi, kwa haye komulutwela kaufela mabulozi na hayaluna na hayende lwitumeza hulu Southern Province muri buti bonse mu Southern Province twamitambula amanza oviro bakuchipata tami ongani mwaisenipo mkwai ziko mkwambili for watching us, and we are here today for you. And yes, Bo Jerome he's going to run through the program that we are going to discuss here. And I could hear that the Minister of is it the Minister of Health? People are busy bombarding the Minister of Health. I don't know, is it this issue of corona restrictions or something like that? So we want to hear from Bo Jerome. So go for it on that.
Yeah, I think like on Friday, some of us we thought like there is serious corona at the Ministry of Health headquarters. Surprisingly, we discovered that no, it was not the Ministry of Health, but it was not the coronavirus, but it was about the procurement unit at the Ministry of Health, and which was followed up by the law enforcers agency there, which was DEC, Zambia Police and Corruption, and the other one, FIC. Yeah. So I think this came to light today when the Ministry of Health featured on parliamentary committee on parliamentary committee on accounts, something like that. Yeah, PAC, parliamentary accounts committee. That's when the permanent secretary for technical services notified the nation what was happening at the Ministry of Health, and some people he mentioned to say they have been put on suspension to allow investigations to be done according. So this came to light actually today. Yeah. So yes, like you have mentioned again today on the presentation, a lot of things came out. Yeah, one of the hot issue was on the expired drugs at the Wanika General Hospital. Then the other issue was on buying drugs that are about to expire. And also the other issue was about the 41 million uncollected from the nursing schools, which I was very much happy with the response from the permanent secretary for technical services there. And also on the transfers, I think it came about. These are some of the main highlights that I saw coming out, but the main what issue was on the supply of drugs, where every institution now, ZAMMSA, and Ndeke House were also questioned by the parliamentarians. But I think what I observed was the flow of information. It's becoming very, very, very slow. But I can assure you, the parliamentarians, I think, did a very good job, and it's good that they are learning now more and more in terms of how these institutions operate. And as time goes on, I think we are going to see excellent presentation and excellent way of asking questions on what is happening in the Ministry of Health. One thing that I think on this one, especially on the supply of drugs, especially by the Wanika General Hospital, I tend first to differ with what the director for clinical care, Dr. Makupe, mentioned or said to the parliamentarians. today where he mentioned to say that the drugs which was distributed in June 2020 and was replaced in October 2021, no one consumed those medications. I think there I tend to differ. Yeah, because we need to know that time is also very important in all this. When you check very well, the drugs were submitted, the drugs were distributed in June. Then after June, July, 2020, 2021, until we had the new government in place. That's when that company changed or decided to change the drugs to bring other drugs. Well, they didn't correct those other drugs, which they said were in the wrong, which were said they were counterfeit. I think that's something which we need to look into very much. Then the other thing which I enjoyed the parliamentarian state or us was we want to know the pharmaceutical company that supplied this fake medication. I was not happy with the response from the director of clinical care, where it was more like shielding that pharmaceutical company, and trying to push the blame on the institutions, but that's not the way it's supposed to be. The reason which was given was no, maybe the drugs were okay, but the time it was taken to the facilities when the drugs were wrong. I think that's not the way it's supposed to be done. We know very well that in the previous years, especially 2020, 2019, we had serious shortages of drugs, and we saw that the ministry was even flagging off fake drugs, flagged off so that the people can go take these fake drugs. So how can they say that the drugs came staged at ZAMMSA, then it was distributed late when there is about less than 6 months? I think that reason is vague, and we cannot buy such a reason. And this now calls to the same thing that I usually talk about. We need to have a directorate for pharmaceutical services. And I'm happy that issues of drug and medicine was one of the things which was gazetted by the new joint government to have the Ministry of Health. Because if you have a directorate there, the director for pharmaceutical services is supposed to explain how the process operates, how ZAMLA comes in, how ZAMMSA comes in, and how ministry comes in. You see, as you know very well that a director for for MOH, director of pharmaceutical services, should be able to know what is happening and also handle all other responsibilities concerning the medication and other supply chain issues to the drugs. As you know very well, ZAMRA has a one primary role to regulate anything to do with regulations of drugs is ZAMRA. Then medical stores, which is ZAMMSA, has also one principal role, which is to distribute. Whatever they do, they concentrate in distribution. Once they distribute their drugs to the facilities, their works ends. So here comes another person, who's the motherboard, Ministry of Health. The Directorate for Pharmaceutical Services, other Ministry of Health, should make sure that now the drugs, they move from the facility to the people. They are distributed by qualified people, and they are supplied to the people by qualified people, and they check the quality of this medication. And besides that, the director there at Ndeke House should be able to advance the policies. As you know very well, Ministry of Health, it is the one that need to do about policy. So the director for pharmaceutical services should handle now the policies concerning ZAMRA, concerning ZAMMSA, and concerning other pharmacies that are still remaining in the ministry. So no wonder when you hear very well, I've been advocating for this to say we need to have a directorate at the Ministry of Health for pharmaceutical services, because this is a person who's going to also push policy for the government in terms of if we want to do manufacturing, if we want to do a lot of change in terms of taxes, if we want to do in terms of education, This person here, as a director, is the one who will be communicating with other directors concerning what should be done in the Ministry of Health in the pharmaceutical sector. So you know very well, the pharmaceutical sector is anchored on the pharmacists there. So we need this thing, and we need this directorate as soon as possible, as urgent as possible, because we can raise a lot of money through this directorate if the director turns out to think outside the box, because there's a lot of money that other countries are getting from other institutions. When you go to Nigeria, they get a lot of money from WHO through the Directorate for Pharmaceutical Services. Go to Zimbabwe, the same. Go to other countries, they do the same. In the UK, they have even just a ministry for pharmaceutical and whatever. So you can see how powerful this directorate is supposed to be at the Ministry of Health, and how it is needed like urgently before even other directorates comes in. We need this directorate for us to safeguard the Zambian people. So without losing much my thought over what was happening today. So the parliamentarians asked about that question in terms of how did you let the people or these drugs be taken to the facilities where no any measures to stop this. I think the response that came about was no, maybe the drugs were supplied were okay, but now the problem was we took time to do that. I think that's not very much true. The drugs that came were not very much okay. And it was just the matter of saying, to say, this pharmaceutical company is the one that supplied these drugs. And last time I was here, I mentioned to say, we had 8 pharmaceutical companies that got 90% of all the government contracts in the country. 8 pharmaceutical companies. So even me right now, I can start mentioning them to say this, and I can say this pharmaceutical company may be the one that supplied this. And the question, the drugs that were in question, should be the drugs that were captured by the Auditor's General report. The one which they mentioned from Chongwe should be aspirin 75, the drug for BP, and it was captured, that was supplied. But I didn't know why, even up to today, why the director for clinical care failed to mention that it was supplied by international drug company. It was the one that supplied that drug. It was IDC. It is in the public domain. So I was surprised that they could hide a name of a company that supplied a drug that was recalled. And when you ask them, did they replace the medication? The answer is no. For me, I've never seen them replacing the medication. Did they replace the money? For me, no. I haven't seen them replacing the money. What was the connection? Was this company given all the contracts, and most of the contracts? The answer, you find that most of the contracts were given to this company. So these are some of the issues that we are supposed to talk. These things are in the public domain. You see, there's nothing we are trying to say. Maybe we are being malicious on this camp. No, we are not malicious. These matters are in the public domain. Did they supply fake medicine? Yes, they did. You see, did the medicine record after a lot of months and after people have consumed? The answer is yes. The medicine was supplied in June. The recall, the data which I have for recall, it was written in December. And when they started looking, checking for the same, they couldn't find the medication which was supplied. People were given and people consumed these drugs. So now the issue which was there is, why did we wait for a thing that supplies in June? Then you wait for all this time to do the test, then you recall in December, then the company presses the same in October after the new Dawn administration is in. You should ask yourself, are we doing anything correct? The answer is no. We are not doing something correct. Before, how did that drug find itself in the government institutions? It was not supposed to do that. Before the drug is supplied, ZAMMSA needs to do all the tests on the medication by sampling it. So where was the first test which was done by ZAMMSA? And why did we allow the people to consume the medication? Then ZAMMSA comes and issue a statement or a recall after 6 months. Was ZAMMSA incompetent? The answer is yes. This is incompetence. Your law you have been given is before a drug is consumed, you need to test and give a certificate to say the medicine is fine. So now the drug is found in the people's people's homes. The drug was given to the people. Was the institution that's supposed to do the test, did it do its work? The answer is no. If the institution can say that we were politically affected and we were pushed by the politician, who resigned from that institution to say that I'm resigning because I'm not happy with what is happening at this institution and there is serious political pressure in our institution? Who resigned? The answer is no one. So what did they do? What did they do? They became now, they became part and parcel of the wrong things which was happening. Is it not so?
No, I have a question before you proceed, Jerome.
Yes.
This drug we are talking about, when was it supplied?
It was supplied in June 2020.
Okay, and who was the permanent secretary at the time, or the people that were running the show in both these institutions you just mentioned? Yeah. Okay.
In terms of signing the contract, there was a permanent secretary for admin, that was Kaku by then. Then there was a permanent secretary for technical services, who was the Kenneth Marama. Then who was supposed to overlook the technical component of this. So these were the people.
You talked about director of pharmacists, whatever you said. That was that institution, was that office at the time there?
No. That director for pharmaceutical services has never been there. Yeah.
Okay. So this is Okay.
Yes. Ask.
So what's your? I know that we are from the previous regime that has messed up everything. Okay, and we know that they never followed the right procedures. We all know. I thought it was just a honeybee. Now there are issues coming, and even went to an extent of supplying to my people in, is it Luanika Hospital?
Yes.
I find that really sad. What are the dangers for the effect, the side effects for consuming? You talked about those were the BP medication. What are the dangers of consuming those medication that were expired, that was given to Luanika Hospital?
You see, one thing that you need to know very well is drugs are chemicals. You see, and these chemicals, once these chemicals, they mix with the other body chemicals, or they go change the physiological makeup of a human being in the body for them to work accordingly. So in this situation, when you are talking of the antihypertensive medication, which was aspirin 75, this is the medication that we use those people who are having difficulties in the heart, maybe pumping the blood. Once we give aspirin 75, it is like we call it a blood thinner. It is released at a certain period of time, slowly in the body, for a period of 24 hours, for continuously making the blood thin, so that the heart will not be having difficulties in doing what? In pumping the blood. As a result, you are able yourself being extended in terms of your lifespan. But in this situation, the drug which was supposed to do that work, it was a counterfeit medicine. So meaning that those people who are taking that medication for that purpose, we ended up losing them because their heart was failing to pump the blood. As a result, people are having issues of cardiac arrest, heart attack, and all that because of the medicine that they have taken is not doing the work it's supposed to do. Then the other thing, since now the medicine is no longer that medicine, it turned out to be a poison. The kidney were punished. The liver was also punished. So this is where the issue comes in. So you discover that we need to have a system where we need to know the number of people who die within a short period of time, and at what is the condition that made that person to die. In that way, you find that we'll be able to put to task, the public will be able to put to task us, the health personnel. But in this situation, we just know that people are dying, but without knowing what was killing the people. No wonder when you check very well, it is the same period of time where we had a lot of cases concerning deaths due to COVID-associated deaths. You see, so now you have given someone a counterfeit aspirin medication, a medicine for BP, they die, then you come and say it's COVID-associated death. Is that COVID-associated death? Because of issues of people failure to handle the issues of professionalism in the way they are supposed to handle that. So that's the situation.
Okay.
So the explanation.
I want to just carefully handle this issue properly. And I want you to be very categorical, because my brother, what you are doing right now, or what you are revealing, or what has been revealed at the park meetings or the deliberations can actually spill into a big scandal again, and a lot of lawsuits that may arise from such kind of allegations. So we need to be very careful, because most of those people that have been suspended or whose employment has been terminated due to the same kind of negligence they applied at the time. And if at all there are people, relatives, that are going to use the time frame from the time the drugs were released from the offices to the time those drugs reached Liwanika Hospital, and from that time to probably the time when they went and retrieved the medication, and there will be issues to do with those individuals of innocent souls that were lost during that period. Their families may come to the Ministry of Health or to the government and claim that they would demand the cause of death of their relatives, or their bodies being exhumed and examined, because you have just revealed something that is very serious, and this may cause a lot of anxiety in people, that they may come up and sue the government and sue the people involved, especially those that supplied fake medication. And these are huge lawsuits that I foresee. I believe all the lawyers, I think they can hear that there could be a lot of an issue here. But however, having said that, we just need to be categorical. I know your main aim, your main focus is to open up the Pandora box so that these people who are exposed as quickly as possible, and those that were found that will be found liable be charged and face the law, because this is when people should be serious on how to handle life, because we are human beings. We are not animals where you can just supply us with anything. Any little mistake, if you're a professional, you decide to give to supply fake medication to the citizens, to the citizenry, and they happen to suffer the consequences for having supplied the then you need to stand. You need to be put on a stand and be on trial until justice is delivered. So I was just trying to open up that line of thought so that as you speak, you have to be very, very careful. And I wanted to know exactly on what we are doing right now and what the PAC is doing. I don't want us to be involved, like to be in conflict with what the PAC is doing, or rather to interfere with their ongoing investigations, that we may be cited with contemptuous or with prejudice. You know what I mean? So we don't want to go in there, but you have the right, my brother, as an individual, as a Zambian, and as a professional, the pharmacist, you have the right to speak out, because you are the only one that brought out the issues to do with the honeybee. We know that where you are the source, isn't it? Sorry, I'm using it. So please go ahead.
Yeah, you see, there's nothing that we are saying which is not true here and which is not factual. The information we are saying here is the information which is factual, and it's the matter of just explaining the implication of that, what that means, you see, and what it meant. So in terms of that, there's nothing to say, no, this was no. The fact which was there is that aspirin 75 was not only supplied in Chongwe or the Wanika, as it was being mentioned. No, it was supplied everywhere, countrywide. You see, it's just that I can even, if I knew, I would have prepared the photos. I still have the photos. By then, I was a president for Pharmaceutical Society. I think so. I have the photos. I can even spray back the photos to show you how it was looking like. You see, so these were all things that were happening in that. So what was done was something that was not supposed to be done at all. And this now caused for us to think through, to say the government spends a lot of money to employ professionals. But look, are the professionals doing the work accordingly? No, they are not doing the work accordingly. They are more in terms of protecting their work. Like the PS today mentioned, to say, no, people now, they need to think exactly about their children or what their income and all that, if they tend up to resign or do something or do something correct when the politicians have told them to do the other way around. But on that point, I think I differed with the PS, because the issue of professionalism, unfortunately, is on individual basis. No one was died to say I've resigned. No, I had a situation of sin and professionalism at Mbara General Hospital. When I was working at Mbara General Hospital, actually, under this Dr. Charles Chimba, a very incompetent person. You know what I did? I left the hospital. And after I wrote all my reports and sent to the Ministry of Health, and I told the Ministry of Health to say, I'm leaving this institution. I cannot continue watching the unprofessionalism which this director is doing here. And what happened? I stayed for 1 year, 8 months without any payment. Him locking my payment, thinking like I'll go back and say, no, bossy, I'm begging, and lock my pay so that I support what you're doing, the wrong things, and stealing government's money. I said, no, I'm not part and parcel. I'm too young for this. So it's about individualism. You see, you should not force me to do a wrong thing. I need to say, no, why should you force? Why should I do a wrong thing? Well, you and me, we know each other from work. We were not born together. We have not grown up together. We have just met at work. And we have been employed differently. You see, your role and my role are different. So if you are bringing your hand in my work, I need to leave it, but I need to write to say, I'm leaving because Mr. Msebae is pushing his hands in my work, which I'm not happy, and I've written 1, 2, 3 letters to warn him and tell him to say, can you stop what you're doing? Just like that. Is that difficult? The
No,
answer
no, no.
is
That's
no.
no, absolutely right.
I've survived up to today. Did I stay without eating? The answer is no. God knows where He keeps His own people. So people should
But
not be made to do
the
wrong
sad,
things for fear of losing a job. This is just a
the
job,
sad,
eh? Anytime you
the
may
sad
lose it.
part. Just to cut you short, the sad part is you left, and when you left, nothing happened. You left people maybe being treated differently or suffering more by you
That's
turning a
not,
back on them. So I don't know
no,
what you did.
that's not true. That what followed was the ministry went there and dismantled the entire management of Umbara, and people were transferred and some were demoted. But I
Okay.
don't
Oh,
believe
that
in
is good.
transferring, because
Yeah,
you transfer a problem from this place to take it to another place. So if
absolutely.
there is a problem and they prove that there is enough evidence, there is no need of transferring someone. They need to fire some of these people so that you bring in fresh blood. You see?
Okay.
And blood
Within your profession, in your profession, Wawishi, what are the penalties? What are the consequences for supplying fake or for having certified? Because here there's a chain of liability here. There's what we call contributory negligence, starting from the supplier, coming to the authorities that the people, the technocrats, the people that did all the donkey work and allowed foreign companies to bring in medication, and those that certified the medication to be supplied and distributed. So there's a chain of liability here. How do we portion the liability, and who is there to blame? Should we blame the president, or should we blame the minister? Should we put a blame onto the permanent secretary, or should we put a blame at these boards created from the act from parliament? These two boards, is it the what are they called again? I don't know. Not Pakra, but
should be ZAMMSA and the
ZAMMSA.
ZAMMSA.
Yes, and ZAMMSA. What will later Samus? ZAMMSA. Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
You see,
Yeah.
unfortunately, the laws that regulate professionals in Zambia, I can say they are vague, kind of. There is no any punishment you can point to. So I think, when I remember very well, because I saw this when I was as a person, when I was just working in government and as a trained person, as a pharmacist. So when I came out, when I was a president now for Pharmaceutical Society, I was pushing the agenda to have pharmacists being self-regulated. The reason was for pushing for that, a motive was for me to pin down this kind of situation and cases. You see, because I knew very well that if you leave the professionals with the way the law is currently, where it is very difficult to find a proper punishment for such a person. It is not fine. And if you leave a pharmacist loose, you are killing the entire nation. So my aim was to make sure that these pharmacists are well regulated so that we pin down the wrongdoers. And I can say the previous committee on the health committee granted that to the pharmacists, where they mentioned to say pharmacists need to make sure that they are self-regulated so that we can overcome some of this situation that is happening. If we had a proper law that stops that, like the way it is in your country where you are, it is very impossible to find a counterfeit medicine in the hospital, especially public institution, because the law is very stringent on a pharmacist who's found themselves or in form of what can I say in terms of what vasankana na vena ava part and parcel. The law is very harsh on such kind of characters. And this is the reason why you discover that in the UK, pharmacists are regulated separately. In South Africa, pharmacists are regulated separately. In Namibia, pharmacists are regulated separately. They regulate themselves because these problems that I'm pointing out, there's no one who can know them apart from me, myself, who's a pharmacist, to say the problem was here and this and this. You see? But in Zambia, they can't understand such. So they just think like everyone should be considered like that. No. A pharmacist handles drugs. And you can't leave someone who handles drugs and regulated the way we have been left. I can tell you, I can kill thousands of people, but I can go scot-free because the law does not anywhere, will not find me doing anything wrong. I'm regulated by a biomedical scientist. I'm regulated by maybe a clinical officer. I'm regulated by a physiotherapist. I'm regulated by a medical doctor. It's not possible. A medical doctor cannot find any case against me. You see? Because I know how to move around. Now we say, let these people be regulating themselves. I can assure you, I can do bad things. You bring a medical doctor to regulate me, they will fail, they can't. Because we define our professionalism. I'm in this profession, they're in that profession, and I know all the loopholes in my profession. But I need my fellow pharmacists to know exactly, to say, this is what really happened. So in this situation, one, it was very wrong for the Ministry of Health to fail to mention, to say, this is the company that supplied this, where they know about the 8 pharmaceutical companies that own all the tenders in the Ministry of Health. Then besides that, it is the explanation telling that the drug, it went bad the time of distribution, that was vague. Again, you cannot give such an explanation. That's not true. No wonder I was saying you cannot say the distribution. That's not true. We know where the problem was and where the problem started from. So that's where you go and pin. Then in terms of penalties for companies that supply fake medications, ZAMMSA in its law, they have good laws to say this is what needs to be done to a company that supplies the fake medication. But they have never executed any of that. They just allow. So even themselves, they are partly to blame. Besides that, ZAMMSA has its own lab. At its own institution, there is a lab which they do quality assurance tests. So in that quality assurance test, they need to find and stop something. If they find that something is not adding up, they call ZAMMSA as an authority to do more further tests. You see? But what do? There's a lot of compromise in the professionals who work there. Provided coffee, you'll find that everything will be moving according to the way, which should not be the case. Where their relatives, their mothers, grandmothers, fathers, children are taking those counterfeit medicine, all them now by these pharmaceutical companies. So these are some of the issues that need to be done. And as a pharmacist, integrity should be part of you. Shortcuts should never be allowed near you, because any shortcut in my work, it results in making a fake medicine and resulting in most of the people dying. That's a problem which is there. Yes, you wanted to ask something.
Yes, no, I can tell that you are speaking now as the pharmacist, the president of this association, Pharmacist Association, which is very, very good. I don't know, is this association still in existence, or is it recognized by the new dawn?
Yeah, the association is still in existence, but the problem is we have lukewarm people who are like leaders who I can say they have not shown that leadership in terms of where they want to take the profession and how they can help the members of the public. For me, that's what they have not shown that concern, kind of, you see, to the things that has been happening and the development that is happening to the people of Zambia, because they are supposed to be in the forefront of pushing the agenda of fighting counterfeit and fake medications that the people are consuming, because their members or some of their members are the people who are the one giving these medications. So they are supposed to show that, but I can see anyway. Maybe in seeing things we see differently. You see, it's different. Kadi, we had President Lungu. We now have President Badi. You know what I'm trying to say. So we had President Jerome. Now we have another president. So we see
So
things
there is.
different.
So you have a new president. You have a new president as a pharmacist president.
Yes, we have a new executive, but it's
Okay.
not president
And
myself, but my executive never used to tolerate anything
okay. So
wrong. Yeah.
so imweba Jerome so mulera ndokutira ati you are a little bit skeptical with the current president of the association, your association as pharmacists, that they are not doing their job properly because of these loopholes. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, definitely. I saw that the vision of the profession and the way the profession is supposed to move was not the way it was moving. And myself, I ended up resigning from the profession and stayed away. Yeah, because it turned out to be not protecting the public, but a witch and kind of way of doing things, which for me, I didn't buy or believe in too. So I decided to remain as an outsider and not to be associated, but be able to speak on behalf of the Zambian people, because I still believe that the pharma industry can do a good job, and the pharma industry currently is poorly regulated and it is not doing what is supposed to be done, because this industry is a main consumer for a lot of money that goes to the Ministry of Health.
Okay. All right. Now I can tell that you are in the opposition now of the pharmacists. Now you are neutral, and you are trying to put up your checks and balances in that area, which is very good. But are you able to practice as a pharmacist, or you when you resigned you forfeited even your practicing license, or was your practicing license revoked?
One, the practicing license is separate. The association does not give any license, unfortunately. The people that give license is Health Professions Council of Zambia. Yeah, the time my license was suspended or whatever by Health Professions Council of Zambia, I had to fight it by myself. And to make the matter worse, it's the same profession that wrote letters that my license should be suspended using Chitaruchirufi and all that. So for me, I didn't that, but I managed to get my license back. I have my license. I'm able to practice. Yeah.
Okay.
So in terms of my practice, I'm able to practice. And in terms of giving checks and balances, I'll continue giving checks and balances until we have sober way of doing things in the pharmaceutical industry. What is happening in the pharmaceutical industry is something that is not something agreeable or something that any normal person can say things should be done in this situation. We are performing below par, and we have lost our integrity and sought our integrity. If only we had our integrity as professionals, we would have protected a lot of people from all the wrong things that have been happening. But what I can say is most of my professional mates, integrity levels tends to be very, very low. So that's where the big challenge is. And this is what I've been advocating for: professionalism and integrity in the pharmacy and the pharmaceutical industry. Then we'll be able to protect members of the public.
So what message do you have to the Minister of Health for over this and the PAC as they are deliberating on this this PAC finding and trying to stream the Ministry of Health? Yeah, what message do you have in terms of in line with your work and in line with the revelations that you've just come up right now with, and what advice would you give them as a professional, because you're speaking now as a professional pharmacist, and if anything, if you say something that may be construed by people and somebody suffers an injury or whatever, you will be sued in your own individual capacity as a professional, if you understand what I mean, for professional negligence too, for having given face for wrong advice. So what advice would you give to the minister over these anomalies and these issues that are happening in the Ministry of that had happened? Because we're talking of the past, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how do we prevent this from happening? How do we prevent the Ministry of Health from killing people and through these medical supply, the supply of medicine? Because already we can tell that there's this benefits of people now coming forward to take medicine and trust medication coming from the government and the Ministry of Health. Already you can tell when it comes to COVID vaccination, it's the Ministry of Health that is going around to still tell the people, let's give them, let's get vaccinated. But we have a history, we have a chain of responsibility, issues that are unresolved issues, because we haven't seen anybody being jailed. We haven't seen anyone being the only thing we see those people being losing their jobs, but we have not seen people being punished for having supplied fake medication. Even at one point, there was even an issue of the fake what's this vaccine that was issued during PF reign. And it was something to do with the gentleman that used to be found with the president that had gone to bring some vaccine. And people, I believe that is the genesis of all these kind of doubts and making, So with this history already, how do we bring confidence to the people so they could go and get paracetamol or BP medication without necessarily getting worried from the advice given by Kanyika that the medication that was supplied was fake or was expired, and many people may have died. Actually, many people died, and we covered them with the umbrella of COVID related, So how do we advise this new government from not repeating the same mistake? How do we cover up this? Not cover up, but how do we mitigate this problem?
Yeah. You see, one thing which was happening in the PF administration was it was the matter of using people who are user-friendly. Myself as a profession, and I know what the law talks when I'm at ZAMMSA and what I'm supposed to do. I'm not supposed to destroy the vaccine, which was perceived as fake, without apprehending the person who was involved in that. because the law is very clear. The person needs to be apprehended. You take to the court. Then the court is the one that's supposed to instruct you to destroy those vaccines in the to destroy. And it's not ZAMMSA that's supposed to destroy. It is the court that's supposed to destroy those vaccines. But I was surprised to hear that ZAMMSA went on and destroyed the vaccine. Even up to today, I still refuse that explanation. Up to today, they have no mandate to destroy a drug that is in contention or that is suspected to be fake. What did they use to test that the drug, this vaccine, is fake? Let them show the results to the members of the public. They couldn't. So for me, I was trying to think in the way that there's someone somewhere paid. That's my own opinion. Someone somewhere was paid to destroy that so that to cover up Mr. Findlay. And I still insist to that, because you can't destroy something without taking to the court. The law says the court is going to issue, you see, an order for you to destroy that. It's going to issue and the court is going to destroy. So that was supposed to be done. So most of the people who were there, just like the way I talk about ZAMMSA, how did a plumber found himself as an acting director? Because he was user friendly. And how can a previous director for ZAMMSA be fired by another CEO? You see, a CEO from NIMA, James Kapesa, fires the other director at ZAMMSA to say you are fired because I'm the acting board chairperson. Who does that? Who does that? How can you are a CEO? I'm a CEO. You are a CEO. I'm a CEO. I come and fire you, or you come and fire me. How? How possible is that? So you see, then they go get and say you are the one who will be there as a director, because PF changed the law so that they can escape whatever they want to do. And I remember very well when I was a president, this law we had to reach as far as the international community condemning what the Zambian government was trying to bring in the pharmaceutical industry and professionalism which was shown by the PF government. But they couldn't listen. This abantu tabale umfwa. Tabale umfwa problem. Then vale start threatening sana. No mbabali inside grade and leave way. Why start threatening? Because I knew protecting the people who educated me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You see, I'm protecting the people who educated me, and it will be a big betrayal for me to forgo and to sell the people who betray me, who educated me, because I want to have more money. I think having money is not one of my top priorities, but do the right thing is one of the top priorities.
No, that's very good.
So
it's good.
She needs to recheck. Currently, like I keep saying, the procurement committee they have put at ZAMMSA, it is a procurement coming from the same old regime with all the intention of bringing all these people who have been supplying fake drugs to the people of Zambia. Mind you, you know where the penny component is, which people don't know. We received some the drugs we use in anesthesia. These drugs, once you are operating on you, we give you some injection so that you sleep, and we start cutting on you without you feeling pain. You see? But what happened? There's a company that supplied those drugs to the Zambian government. And what happened? When the doctors are operating, within 30 minutes, just imagine. And we lost a lot of patients using that, but people covered it up because PF was like a cartel of people everywhere.
Wow.
You see?
Anyway,
this was happening in Zambia. Go to UTH, go to these theaters. They tell you, and All these documents are by ZAMMSA about that drug which was supplied. Someone, imagine, they are operating on you. They have opened you up. Then bamfakofye n'abakristo mu chest balekita art operation. Bamfakofye umuntu abuka kwikata pamutima. That was the thing that was happening. Ama doctors bambonku butauka. What is happening? Kanshpimuti. So these are some of the issues. No wonder the pharma industry supposed not to be left to businessmen, not to be left to people without integrity. Integrity should be one of the key fundamental feature for someone to even be as a pharmacist. No wonder I was saying this profession needs to be well regulated, and it needs to regulate itself so that we make sure that integrity is pushed in this association. Ask the people, ask the doctors who are operating the patients. They'll tell you to say, we open up a patient, 30 minutes within operation, a patient ambonku tenda. And all that. And we ended up losing a lot of other people. And other people, I met one of the person who cried to me to say, I lost my son like that, my friend. And I was such touched. You see, this is what was happening with the PF. So we need to have that kind of level of integrity, and we need to control things accordingly. How do you expect a plumber to supply proper drugs to the people of Zambia? Because he doesn't understand. Unless you are talking of pipes and all that, then you can say, oh, this person understands. Then you say, no, you just be there as a boss, your juniors will be doing the work for you. What if the juniors are bought by those people and they do wrong things and they say, no problem, we know our boss is a plumber, doesn't understand these things? This is what really happens. No wonder I was saying we need a directorate for pharmaceutical services from the Ministry of Health. If these two institutions fails, this director from the Ministry of Health will be able to stop what these two are doing and tell them to say, can you stop what you're doing? Now, in this situation where they are not there, everyone will say like that. No wonder you find that these institutions, Ministry of Health, are the directors who are medical doctors, but we are seeing because they can't understand these things. They can't, and they'll never understand these things because it has its own speciality. So if you ask themselves to say, which director are these people reporting to? There was a director they are reporting to. But because the director couldn't understand these things, no wonder things were going. Now the public backlash, they started bringing. You see, which should not be the case. So, and the UPND government should make sure that if it's possible by tomorrow or even the other day, they are supposed to push in and sign for a director of pharmaceutical services to be set so that this person oversees what is happening, and they should make sure that a pharmacist is put as a director. It's only in Zambia you find fake medication in the government system, and the people that supply fake drugs are nowhere punished.
Okay. Thank you, Jeremy. We seem to be running out of time. We were only given an hour, and we have overshoot our program by 4 minutes already. So, sorry, my brother Chilufya, you just came in, and we're about to wind up the program. Do you have just a second to say something before I hand over to Jerome to simply close the show? Volume, please. I can't hear you.
Hello, Jerome. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, please. You just switched off again.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now you can.
Okay. Hello, Bakwetu, Jerome, Mkelebai. Good evening, Zambians in Chiwempala, Chililavombwe, Lusaka, Kanyama, Chinsali, and Baraba Bluvesava Kuchipata Vadia. I say good evening to all, to you all and all Zambians living abroad. Kanyika, I think what you've said, though you were talking so fast, but the most important thing, Kanyika, that should calm you down is we've got a new government in power that has got a vision that is against corruption, that does things in an orderly manner. And then we've got permanent secretaries now in place who've been put in there by the people of Zambia. Obviously, HH was voted in by the people of Zambia, and he has appointed those people, so which means they are representing the people of Zambia. And the people, most of those people, they've got integrity, they are educated, they are intelligent. I think we're going to see most of those things start changing. We want to see professionalism coming into all those organizations. ZAMMSA, corruption needs to stop. Obviously, HH knows the corruption that was going on at Ministry of Health, the corruption that was going on at ZAMMSA, which used to be called medical stores, the corruption going on at your association. Bringing defective condoms, expired drugs, giving contracts to plumbers to supply medication. I can assure you, Jerome, those things are going to come to an end. Things like bringing emergency orders for medication. Why should we bring emergency orders for medication? Just because we want to circumvent the process? Because this government has put procedures and processes. They've put controls. So nobody in going forward is going to circumvent those controls and processes. They have to follow the tender processes, and there won't be any corruption.
Thank you so much, my brother. We seem to have overshoot, and please, we want to remind our viewers, those who are watching, to contribute towards our show and send us those stars as usual, which is a very good thing. And go to Dr. Munsha's page and subscribe so you can be a member. And for you who live in the diaspora, we need those £3 that we can actually, so that we continue with our show. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, from everywhere you are listening us from. Kanyika, I think you have said it all. Everyone has heard. Thank you so much. You have brought out so many issues. Me, what I've taken out of this was the issue to do with the death of people that died upon consuming of those fake medication. I see lawsuits. I see a lot of lawsuits coming from Western Province, everywhere in the country, suing those people that were involved. So you see, people, it's not just about talking about PF corruption, this corruption, that. They were busy killing us too. So we shall avenge our deaths, brothers and sisters, through the normal and legal way. Having said that, Jerome, would you say bye and close the show?
Thank you, Bom Kerabaya and Patrick. It's nice to see you again. Ian, I think it's a very wonderful evening. Let's all please continue, be vigilant, and observe what we are receiving from the government. We hope and pray that the new John government that has given us fresh air is going to sort out this problem so that the people of Zambia can receive the right for medication for them. We want everyone to stay and we want everyone to live. Let your death be because God has said it to be your death, not your death because by other things that you are not supposed to happen, especially in terms of fake medications. Thank you for your time, and please enjoy your evening.
And God bless Zambia.